Hi, welcome to Insights, where we take a look at the four different basic temperament types and understand each other a little bit better, including ourselves. So we're going tonight to take a look at the melancholy and the phlegmatics and how they communicate with the other three temperaments, either in the work environment or at home, or maybe in parenting or teaching, and see how we can give you some tips that might help you have some better, more effective communication with others and maybe reduce some of those conflicts along the same lines. Melancholies, remember, like things to be perfect. They love to look at numbers and figures. They love to analyze. They don't really communicate a lot. They like to think about what they're going to say before they say it. And they like to have time to process information. And so they don't give compliments very readily. Unless something is perfect, they don't want to say it's perfect, or they think it's almost like false to try and tell someone that they're doing a great job if in their heart of hearts they really don't think that they are. So we're going to try and give you some tips for if you are melancholy, or perhaps if you live with a melancholy or have a child, son or daughter, you might suggest some of these things to them. When a melancholy interacts with a sanguine, remember, sanguines just love to tell stories. So I would recommend that you take time from your busy schedule and give them that attention. Listen to their stories, pay close attention, and then when they're through, the listening isn't really quite enough. You need to think of some things, some feedback that you can give back to the sanguine person that will encourage them, because that's one of their strongest needs, is they need to be listened to and they need encouragement. When sanguines and melancholies come together, there usually is a bit of a clash. Melancholies love to be around the sanguines because they're so much fun, but it usually is a very short period of time before they start trying to fix them. That's kind of what melancholies do. They think everybody's kind of wanting to be fixed, so if they see a fault, they try to give the other person a recommendation or a suggestion as far as how they could fix that. But what melancholies need to keep in mind is not everybody thinks they're broken, and not everybody wants to be repaired. Also, another thing is that melancholies think that you can always do better. When I was teaching piano, I used to give all my students a lot of encouragement, a lot of positive feedback. And then one day I had one of my parents come to me and say, "Please don't do that anymore." And that was just a real foreign thought to me. And so I asked her why. And she said, because in our culture, we believe that a person can always do better. So when you are telling them that they're doing a great job, that's going counteracting what we are telling them at home. I took that to heart and thought a lot about it. I still do think that it is important to give positive reinforcement or compliments, and that it does build up the other person's self-esteem, and you can do so in a way that is genuine and encouraging, and if done in the right way, it will be a catalyst and not be something that will do more harm. So sanguines, I think the main thing melancholies have to remember is not to burst their bubbles. It's very, very easy to do. They're on cloud 9 and they're all wound up and want to share with you, and then if you don't give them the proper reaction to their stories or their new outfit that they have on, something that's happened to them, they can it can take them downhill very quickly. So I would suggest that you do try to give them some positive feedback. Now, as a teacher, a lot of teachers used to write across the papers, very good. And so there are lists out there, you can Google them if you want, and like 100 different ways to say very good instead of coming out and actually saying very good or excellent, because that's really something that probably a melancholy is going to have a hard time doing. They probably won't use superb or sensational, perfect, excellent, because in their mind, it's like you could always do better, or there's always room for growth. So here's just a couple suggestions that you might get in your repertoire so that you could either use them with your son or daughter when they're at a sporting event, or they come home with their report card and maybe it's not what you would like it to be, but you do not want to crush them. You might say something like, well, look at you. You're really getting the hang of this. I'm very proud of you. I can see that you put a lot of work into your project. You've come a long way. Congratulations. Keep it up. Or even just a simple wow, if said with the right influx, can be a great boost. Now, when the melancholy is encountering or having some kind of communication with the choleric, remember that the choleric is constantly thinking about what they're going to do next. They have that running list going in their mind, their to-do list. Most of the time they don't even have to put it down on paper, because from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep, they've got their whole day structured. So the melancholy is probably not going to go on and on and on in a dialogue. However, they will have a tendency to do that if it comes to charts and graphs and figures and documentation, and you're going to lose the choleric. So the expression, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts, would be a good one for the melancholy to keep in mind when talking to the person who's a strong choleric. They will appreciate that more. And my tip to you today is, like, if you have a boss that is a strong choleric, you might have done the research, because you're going to enjoy doing that, and have it handy. But instead of bombarding them with all that information, simply after a short period of time, say, hey, let me know if you'd like any more information, or if you want me to research that for you, I can get you more facts or details. The choleric, who might be your immediate boss or someone that you report to, will really appreciate that. It will be like a feather in the cap. When the melancholy is conversing with the phlegmatic, remember that you both go at a little bit slower pace usually, so that's a good thing. But remember to be kind. They are the peacemakers. They are the servant hearts. They don't want to have the negatives coming out. In melancholy, sometimes you can be kind of critical, and sometimes it comes off as a negativity, so work on that. And work doesn't, something doesn't have to be perfect to receive the compliment again. But if you're sharing a lot of information with the phlegmatic, watch for their body language. If all of a sudden they start getting that glazed over look, that's a TMI, or too much information, and it will be your clue to dial it back and try and just tell them what needs to be said, but do not bombard them with too much information. Now we're going to take a look at the phlegmatic, kind of the reverse here, and when the phlegmatic is having nonverbal or verbal communication with others. Remember, phlegmatics like to watch from the time they're born. Those are your watchers. They just will study. They don't share a lot, so they have that kind of in common with the melancholies. So communication can be a bit of a challenge for the phlegmatic as well as it is for the melancholy, just in a different way. So when the phlegmatic is visiting with the sanguine, the phlegmatic might come off as like blasé, like they're really not enjoying the sanguine's stories. So you're going to need to work on your body language. Maybe lean in and do some more things non-verbally that will be received from the sanguine as if they're just really, you're enjoying their stories, that even if you don't give a lot of compliments, that body language will be saying, making a big statement. They also, sanguines like touch, and so I'm going to tread softly here, but I'm going to say that if you find yourself at a loss for words, and maybe you are married, your spouse is a sanguine, and you're a phlegmatic, Sometimes you don't even have to say anything. You don't have to have words. Just go over and give them a big hug after they've shared about their day or their stories and told you a little bit that has why they're so excited. And that will be adequate. That will be a step in the right direction, so to speak. Now, when phlegmatics are talking with cholerics, remember to keep it short. Now, phlegmatics go at a little bit slower pace usually than the cholerics do, but that does not mean, that's not a sign of intelligence. That is just a sign that they process information a little bit differently. So I don't want the phlegmatics to become intimidated by that. Cholerics will be very direct. They might, if you are presenting something in your office or place of employment, maybe you're even trying to sell something, and the person that you are trying to promote it to just hammers one question at you after another. That might take you back. Try to just take a big deep breath and say, hey, they're just functioning in their realm. That's how they're wired, and you have the answers. So just take a big deep breath and then be able to share those in due time. But don't let it become intimidating to you. Cholerics like to have answers, and so be prepared with your answers. Kind of like a peace through strength would be another good motto for you, to think ahead of what you're going to share, be prepared. Again, because time with the choleric, that's what they very much value. When the phlegmatic is working with the melancholy persuasion or a person of that temperament, again, we're going to have some nice dynamics here as far as both of them like to kind of think things through. They like to watch things and be more analytical. In that way, they have some things in common. But the melancholy is not as much in a rush as the choleric would be, so you will find that you might have a little bit more time. But again, gather your information ahead of time, be prepared, document it, because the melancholy is going to be very impressed with that. And so if you want to win them over, just show that you've done your homework, that you did come to the meeting prepared, and they will be impressed with that. I hope that these tips, you can put a few of them into practice and see some immediate results. Again, there isn't any right or wrong in these situations, and you can't change people, places, or things. But what I am trying to do is help you better understand yourself and understand those around you, and to not start any wars or fires, but to keep the peace so that we can all get along better and understand where each other's coming from. So until the next time, love God, love people, and love yourself. See you then.